All right, we are taping this. It is 8:45. Notice how I said taping instead of recording, Sal?
Yeah, why do you do that?
I don't know why I do that. I
Is
don't
that
know why
like
I do
gravy and
anything.
sauce? It's like
I don't know.
it's old school. Yeah,
What
I
to
like
tell
it.
you. Um, so we just watched Washington, Atlanta, and you lost your wise wager,
Ah,
which was you were 13-2 for the season. You had Washington 24 and a half under,
yeah.
which seemed like when Atlanta was about to score in the last minute, you were going to win it. And then
Yeah.
Raheem Morris is like, how many timeouts can I take into overtime?
Ah,
Turned out he had the wrong answer, and Atlanta
yeah.
blows it. Roller coaster ride of the game. Washington makes the playoffs. Atlanta is now in a lot of trouble. This is one of my favorite podcasts to do. Heading into Week 18, we have all our playoff scenarios, trying to guess the lines. But Atlanta is going to be kicking themselves all week.
Yeah, I was all well, first of all, I have too much shit going on, right? I had the under 24 and a half, but I also have Tampa Bay to win the South. So I'm rooting against Atlanta, but rooting for Atlanta to stop Washington and rooting for Raheem Morris to get his brain out of his ass. Like those skip timeouts is just of course you want 22 seconds with one timeout is better than 7 seconds and two timeouts. And then he takes one before. And then like you have a tired defense except for one drive. They were on the field the entire second half. Start calling your timeouts then too. Like get them a little fresh so that
Right.
Jaden Daniels isn't running for 7 yards. But yeah, it was congratulations. We have a lot of Washington fans and friends in our club here, but I don't know. Not a weird win. A weird win for sure.
Well, our favorite Washington fan is Chang because we were on a text with him, and Chang gets so mad during these games that I told him I would do a Patreon subscription for Chang's like text during every Washington game. He was so mad. It was a lot of "fuck this team." I hope the guy makes the field goal. We're losers.
He's out
And
of control. I
yeah.
think he's going to send like poison noodles over to Dan Quinn or something. I don't know what he's up to, what he's
Well,
capable of.
so the timeout. So they get basically to midfield. There's 40 seconds left. And or 35 seconds left, whatever it was. They had two timeouts left. And it was interesting because Brady, who I thought was good today during the Vikings Green Bay game, he was talking about this timeout, the exact timeout scenario at the end of the
Yeah.
first half. And he was saying how when he liked to do it, if he had two timeouts left with under 2 minutes left, he always thought of it as take one timeout in that 1 minute to 2 minute mark, take the second one somewhere between 30 and a minute, and then save that third one for the kicker.
Hmm.
And I was thinking about that as I was watching Atlanta just completely mangled the same situation and just basically take two timeouts in the 12 seconds left in the game. They didn't do that at all.
Yeah.
I think if they called timeout, I think they would have kicked a field goal and scored.
Well, here's the thing. Everything's situational, right? So Brady's theory is right. Add to it, you got a rookie quarterback there on the road. Might want to just get him a couple plays, stop the clock
Yeah.
anyway, if you're not sure. And you have a kicker who can't make it from 35. So you want to get it closer than you even got it. So what
Yeah.
everything points to calling a timeout with like 35 seconds left, and they didn't do it.
For some reason, I was thinking about you during this whole like fourth quarter because you've been so hot and you've had some luck with these wise wagers. And
Lots of
I've
luck,
been hot
sure.
on $1 million picks. Like we're doing great.
Yeah.
And this had gotten to the point where I was like, Atlanta's going to somehow win this game 27-24. And we're going to be like, how did Sal do it again? How did he pull this out? And Atlanta's driving down and seeing what's going to happen. Then the other way, Washington had the ball. And they're driving down, and it felt like they were setting up for they were going to go for it to win the game on 4th and 1 and not get
Right.
it. And then
Right.
Atlanta would either play for the tie or do whatever. But
I think the if I could speak broadly, and I think you had Atlanta plus 4.5 on something you were saying before
yeah,
the podcast.
was upset.
There's favorites winning and covering, and then there's favorites winning and covering, like Cincinnati did and like Washington did today. Like when you're
Well,
laying
how about
over
everyone in
four.
week 17?
That's what I'm saying. Like there's all that, and then there's crazy covers like this, where neither Cincinnati or Washington deserved it, except for some craziness that happened in overtime and some brain farts from coaches.
Bigger picture, the favorites were 14-1 in week
Insane.
17. Go Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and
That's why
today.
we're not too upset. That's why we have our chin up here.
Well, yeah, there was some very good money line parlays, all kinds of plays. 14-1 near the at this point of the season for favorites. If I had said to you heading into this week, somebody's going 14-1, favorites or underdogs. I just would have assumed underdogs, right? This is right
Yeah.
around the time of the year when weird shit happens left and right, but that's not what happened. So Atlanta, who's somehow kind of still alive, it feels like they went to Penix, what, 3 weeks too late? 4 weeks
Yeah, I
too
was
late? Even
thinking
though he's up
that.
and down, he's still way better than Cousins is.
I was gonna send this to you, and I'm like, maybe this is an overreaction, but when he was like flying in the first half, I was like, man, if they had put him in like a month ago, they might be fighting for the 1 seed. Maybe that's a little strong,
Because of their
but
schedule?
yeah, but for sure they might have had this NFC South locked up.
Yeah, they would be at 10 wins already. I think it's fair to say Cousins probably cost them 3 to 4 wins by being unable to
Yeah,
move. What's weird though, we're in this weird situation where Atlanta Penix, I think, is the starting quarterback. I don't know if he's ever going to be an all pro or anything, but he's clearly pretty good. You know,
Mhm.
he's at least on that, I think has a chance to be on that Bo Nix level, maybe one notch higher. He's older.
Mhm.
But you also can't praise Atlanta for this because they
Right.
spent $100 million on Kirk Cousins and destroyed their salary cap.
Mhm.
So, like, if you're talking to GM Terry Fontenot, who Lombardi always used to make fun of, I'm like, Terry, great Penix pick. You almost can't say that because
Yeah.
the pick was so illogical when he did it. And I was thinking today, like, imagine if they had taken, um, if they had spent that free agent Cousins money on
Oh
like
yeah.
one other defensive player, two defensive players, whatever. And instead they put off the, and this is what happens. You end up losing this game in OT because your defense can't do anything. This is
Right.
what we were saying in April when they took Penix. If you're going
I
to
think
spend all
that's
that money on
fair.
Cousins, use the eighth pick on a defensive player, or if you know you're going to take Penix, use the free agent money on a defensive player. And they didn't do either.
It's a little different what I'm about to bring up, but it's kind of what San Francisco, like you really want to praise everything they did. After what they spent on Trey Lance, it wasn't, it wasn't money,
Right.
but draft capital and might have won the Super Bowl if you had some position plugged in on defense against Kansas City, and now you're paying the price. But yeah, it's there's some odd stuff going on. I mean, I know you like your quarterback. I feel like you need to see 2 or 3 years out of these guys. In Sam Darnold's case, 7 years, but at least 2 or 3.
Sam Darnold, the most emotional Twitter video during the season we've seen all year. Sam
Yeah.
Darnold coming back late to the Vikings locker room, and it turned into like a sports movie scene. I
Yeah.
was waiting for explosions for in the sky to play in the background. Um, Playoff picture, and we'll talk about. There's so much shit to go through, but
I have to.
playoff.
I feel naked not knowing the schedule. You and I love the playoff schedule, right?
Well,
We
I want to
predicted
guess this.
we love the week 18, and we're like 7-year-olds waiting for Santa to come down the chimney. I keep refreshing. I don't see anything. I see the Jimmy Carter Jake Paul fight is rescheduled, but I don't see anything on week 18 yet. This is terrible.
We're on this text thread with our cousin and a whole bunch of people, and anytime a super old celebrity dies, it's always like, "What was the cause of death?" And we do.
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter, my favorite president, by the way, but anytime it's 100, like, what was the cause of death?
Yeah.
Anyway, NFC playoff picture. Washington is at least the 7 seed, right?
Hmm.
Possibility they can sneak into 6 seed, but Green Bay would have to lose to Chicago. But we're looking at 2 seed Philly versus 7 seed Washington, which I'm not happy about if I'm Washington.
Hmm.
3-6 is Rams Green Bay. I'm super happy if I'm Green Bay playing the
Hmm.
Rams the way their offenses looked. 4-5 would be Tampa Minnesota, which is an awesome game, or at Atlanta Minnesota if something funky happens in week
Right.
18. AFC, it looks like we're gonna have Buffalo versus Denver, unless Denver completely chokes but gets Carson Wentz, and we'll go in all
Hmm.
those scenarios in a second. Baltimore against the Chargers, and then Houston, Pittsburgh. And I didn't tell you I was going to do this. You're going to be mad, but I already made guesses for the round one schedule, and I'm going to throw this at you.
Don't do that yet. Yeah.
No, I'm doing it. I'm
All right.
doing
Well,
it.
I think
Not
we
even
agree
week
on the
18.
Shakey's game. There's a lot of shaky quarterbacks that belong in the Shakey's game, but I think we're on the same page with that.
Well,
Go ahead.
we texted about the Shakey's game, which if you
It's
haven't
the first Saturday.
seen or listened to
Yep.
our pod before, it's the first game on the Saturday of round one. Our knockout league that we're in, the loser used to have to buy pizza for everybody else for the first
Hmm.
game, and we would do it at Shakey's in Santa Monica, which we made plenty jokes about. Is it still
Right.
open or no?
I think they closed it after we stopped going. I think we were probably the only
That was
ones
we were
there.
like the
Yeah.
last thing.
Yeah. That
So
was it.
anyway, Pittsburgh Houston is the most. I would say that's like a minus 1,200 favorite to be the Shakey's game. With the way
I think so
Houston's
too.
look with Russell Wilson, I don't see how it's not the Shakey's game.
I'm trying to think who else it would be. All right, you're going to give me all of them? Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, these are my guesses, and you tell me. I'll rip through them, and you
I
tell me
mean,
where
there's
you
a
disagree
Monday
with.
game in there. You got them
You're
all.
right.
Go ahead.
So
Yeah.
Saturday night is going to be Amazon, and I think that's Green Bay Rams, and they keep it in LA. Al Michaels is super happy. It's like a 35-minute drive for him. Amazon in LA. Amazon is in LA. So I was going Green Bay Rams for that, and then Sunday, Denver Buffalo, the Chargers versus Baltimore, and then Washington Philly as the Sunday night game. But you could flip that, and you could make Washington Philly the Fox game with Brady, and then
Right.
Chargers Ravens Sunday night.
Wow.
And then my last prediction: Bucks versus the Vikings in Tampa Bay Monday Night Football.
On Monday. Yeah.
Yeah. What are your
My only
thoughts?
thing with that is I'm not ready. I'm not. I feel like
I
I'm
know
not
that's
ready
why I
for
didn't
this.
prepare. I tell you to prep. I
All right.
wanted to throw this at you.
Well, here's what could throw it off. I really think the Chargers want that 5 seed now. I think they're going to fight for it. They're in a good spot if they get that 5 seed. Of course, you want to go to Houston now. And by the way, if they get by that, I know the Chiefs, we're going to have to praise them. We have to. But that's not a bad, deal for Harbaugh. They played him twice. They lost by 2. They lost by 7.
Yep.
What a thing that would be for Harbaugh to go into Kansas City and win. I think that's the ideal spot for the Chargers. So I think that would throw off a little. The only thing I would say about a Saturday night, I think they like an outdoor game there. They had the Chiefs Dolphins, so I'm not sure what that would. I know that doesn't agree with Al's habits, but what would it be?
Well, we got to look out for Al. So
Yeah.
Chargers to get the 5 seed, the Chargers would have to beat the Raiders, and Pittsburgh would have to lose to Joe Burrow in Cincinnati,
Yeah.
and that's the path. I was going to do this later, but I'd rather just throw this at you right now. And I know the Ravens aren't going to tank Week 18, but if you're the Ravens, just fundamentally looking at this big picture, we're trying to make the Super Bowl. If you're the Ravens, would you rather be the 5 seed or the 3 seed? Because if I'm the 3 seed, I have a home game against almost definitely the Chargers. Unless it's either the Chargers or Pittsburgh home game. And then round 2, I'm going to Buffalo if I'm the 3
Right.
seed. I'm going to Buffalo unless Buffalo shockingly loses. If I'm the 5 seed, I play Houston, and I'll be favored and I should beat Houston. And then unless there's an upset, I'm
You go
going
to
to
Kansas
KC
City?
for round 2, who hasn't played a meaningful game in a month. And if your goal is to make the Super Bowl, we always talk about this. I'd rather catch KC in that round 2 game when they're a little rusty.
Yeah.
So I know Baltimore's going to try to win. I know it's better to be at home, but you could argue it's a better path for them to be the 5 seed.
Well, first of all, we'll go over the lines in a second, but maybe this will clear it up. And there's so much speculation. The Saturday games are out, and there's 2 of them.
Were you right? You had guesses on this.
I had one right. It's Browns, Ravens, and Bengals, Steelers. So
Oh,
the Ravens
Okay.
the Ravens are first. The Ravens are 130. I don't know why they're doing this actually. It doesn't benefit
Huh.
that. So the Ravens are 130. The Bengals, Steelers are 5. These are Pacific times. If the Ravens win, and they should, then the Steelers could lose and the Chargers do get that 5. And we're talking all different things here.
Well, you have for the Steelers Bengals game, Bengals trying to keep their playoff hopes alive.
Yeah.
Steelers trying to either be 5 or 6, but you want to be 5, so that game actually becomes meaningful. So that's probably why they did.
Oh,
it
I
that
guess
way.
so. Right. Yes,
Yeah.
they would still try. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I mean, is it so meaningful that you would want to not rest your starters for the following week? That's always a thing with, I don't know. When we think it's meaningful, it usually isn't.
Well, who is the worst playoff team to you other than the AFC 7 seed? Because I think you could make a case it's the Rams. And the Rams are going to be the 3 seed. But if I'm Green Bay, I'm 100% delighted to play the Rams in round 1. The
just so
Rams can't
weird.
score 20 points anymore. And they got, I thought, dominated by the Cardinals on Saturday night. I can't believe we had to sweat out that LA parlay like that. That was,
Yeah.
it ended up coming down to Kyler Murray whipping a 130-mile-an-hour pass off his tight end's head that bounced
Right.
up in the air for an interception. But the Rams did nothing offensively to win that game. And I would want to play them over anyone except the AFC 7 seed, I think.
They are a bizarre team. They score. I mean, it was 4 weeks ago. They scored 44 against Buffalo, and then the
Right.
next 3 weeks they score 44 combined. And Cooper Cup
Feels like they
just
ran out of gas.
commits mass murder on fantasy owners all over the nation. Like so,
Yeah.
yeah, I think they did kind of run out of gas. I don't know, McVay. That was some questionable calls by him, but you're right. Like Kyler just he did his thing. He got too excited. He's now 13-29 straight up in November, December games, and 1-17 in the division.
Jesus.
Really bad.
Cerruti just texted us that, and you know what? I did a shitload of research for this podcast. I really thought I
Yeah.
was prepared.
What's
Somehow
he
I missed
saying?
this. Green Bay is not guaranteed to be the 6th seed. It could
Yeah.
actually be Washington because Washington wins the tiebreaker. So if both of them win, Washington is going to be the 6th seed.
Oh,
I thought
Washington gets
Washington
it if they
needed,
win.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, because they have the win now, right? They're the same
yeah.
record. Yeah. All right.
So,
So who's going to try? Is the
well, if
thing.
you're Washington, I mean, first of all, they're going to have a lot of fans at that Rams game if it's Washington at the
Sure.
Rams.
Yeah.
But if you're Green Bay, that's a disaster. You go
Yeah.
from, so people didn't know how much that Minnesota game meant today. It actually meant a shitload because it's difference between potentially playing the Rams or playing
Right.
Philly, who's the 2 seed.
And you're going to
So,
have a 13-win team as a wild card. I don't think it's ever happened before. Right.
oof. Um, the Vikings, let's talk about that Vikings Packers game.
Good one.
A lot of people love the Packers.
Yeah.
It turned into an everybody believes in us, nobody believes in us situation, which I didn't fully know on Thursday, but by the time we got to Sunday, I was betting on the Vikings. And that line
Yeah.
was moving. That line was the most erratic line of the year. It was
Mhm.
-1.5, +1.5, even, back to -1.5. By game time, it was even, which is, I think, what 3 times this year we've had an even line at game time?
Yeah. So now we know now that I guess they have something to play for with the 6 seed, 5 seed, but really compared to Minnesota, they didn't have as much to play
As
for,
much.
right?
Right.
And Minnesota's fighting for the 1 seed. They have the better record. They were a 1.5 point favorite when we did guess the lines. Then it moved to Green Bay, like you said, is favored. Then Minnesota settled in. I'm like, I'm staying away. They gave us 6 free money line wins going
Yeah.
into Sunday, which was insane. But why is this? Why is everybody taking the Packers here? And I can't do a lap because they won by 2 points. But I think they did. It was perfect what they did because I think all these NFC North teams are able to catch up. They're eventually going to get to 25, 28, 30 points. But the defense played great for 3 quarters. They really did. Like Flores had them, like Cashman, Shaq Griffin, Van Ginkel. They were all locked in step. And KOC did a great job with 2:20 left, bleeding the clock. We'll talk about it. He did it better than anybody's done it, really.
Yeah, he's coach of the year. He has to be. It's crazy that Harbaugh completely rejuvenated the Chargers, made chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, I'm gonna get this right.
Do
Made
it.
chicken salad out of chicken shit.
Good.
Yeah, I did it. I nailed it. Um, and he's not gonna win coach of the year. You think
Mm-hmm.
like where that team was last year, all the stuff he did for them. They had some injuries too. It wasn't like it was like the easiest season. And
Their
he has no
quarterback went
chance.
out. Yeah.
Yeah,
JJ
he is.
McCarthy was supposed to be a guy. Yeah.
Well, so KOC, I think he gets it. The Packers, their 5 losses, 2 against the Lions, 2 against the Vikings, 1 against the
Eagles.
Eagles. And this
Yeah.
was everybody's Super Bowl sleeper. Be nice if they beat one of the top 3 teams in their division one or conference once.
Right.
I'm also not positive. I really like Jordan Love, and I think he's good in spurts. And I've watched the game that they played today, I feel like 6 times in the last year and a half, where they kind of suck. He misses a couple throws. They're a little erratic. All of a sudden they're behind, and then they do this furious rally with like a quarter left or half a quarter left.
Right.
And then the score that they played this exact Minnesota game happened already in the
Yeah.
first month of the season where they were way behind, rallied back, and the final score they lost by 2. This was not a 2-point loss. Minnesota dominated the game. Field goal kicker missed 2 field goals.
Yep.
I just felt like this was a double figures win. Now it will say they won by 2.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And they pressured him the whole game, and Green Bay couldn't really pressure Darnold, right? So
Nope.
that seemed like the difference. The one thing I'll say is I wonder if Watson really makes a big difference for this offense.
I think he
right?
does.
Yeah. Like him not being there, I don't know, it's some nice spots in there. Jaden Reed's a fun player, but he'll disappear for like quarters at a time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he had a 1 reception, 5 yard game a couple of weeks ago, and today it took him a while to get going. But I
I
was
thought it
very
might be a
impressed with
double tight
Minnesota.
end game for them.
Oh yeah,
Like just being more physical. They were like Brady was really bullish on them riding Jacobs, and he's comparing McCory Dillon and all these different running backs. But the Vikes played great, and darn, they've been underestimated all year. I really regret on Thursday not going all in on them because I think they're really good. I think they could absolutely beat Detroit. I could absolutely see them in the Super Bowl. Watching them today, I was thinking because I felt the same way watching that Cincinnati game. And I had Denver plus 7.5 in that one. So I actually ended up hitting it. But since he's so scary when they have the ball and they just need 8 yards, or
yeah,
it's 3rd and 8, it's 3rd and 6, it's 2nd and 10, and they have those two receivers, and it just feels like anytime Burrow wants, he can hit somebody for 8 yards on and out, or he can hit them down the sidelines or cross or whatever. I think Minnesota has the same thing. Those two
yeah.
receivers, when they really, really need to complete a pass, they can find one of those guys, it seems like.
Sam Darnold doesn't seem like he's going to blow a game. The coach doesn't seem like he's going to blow a game. The defense seems like it's going to play good enough for long enough. I don't think like going forward, are they going to be an underdog at any point by more than 2 points or 3 points? I don't think you can make it. Who would have to be
Not in the
home?
NFC.
Detroit? No, no, no way.
Well, we'll
So
see. You should have said today they should have been at least like a 1.5 or 2 point favorite, and
right.
the market said otherwise. I just think people, Sam Darnold, 3 years in the Jets, 2 in Carolina. He was on the Niners last year.
Hmm.
And I just think people are slow to come around on this, but he's been doing this all year really consistently. And I said last week to you, I felt like um, when I really needed him to make a play and that come from behind game last week, I was like, I think he's going to do it. Like, I believe he's going to make the play. I felt the same way in this game today. I just felt like he was going to come through. He has one shaky throw a game, but I think you could
Yeah.
say that about literally any
Oh yeah.
quarterback in the league.
Yeah. I don't think it's fluky at this point. I think like we can move on to the next argument, like with JJ McCarthy, keep him or trade him. Like this guy, you're not going to have results like Sam Arnold put out there, and it's not. It just feels different from the team 2, 3 years ago, whatever it was, where Cousins won every game by 1 score. It
Right.
just something about it. Like yeah, this guy fits in this offense, and it's going to work for a little bit.
Yeah, Raheem, not Raheem Morris, guy who took 2 timeouts into the
Yeah.
overtime. Our friend Raheem, who's on the Ringer Sunday pregame, he had a good tweet about this one score win-loss record, which has become a really fun way when we talk about teams after the fact or during the season. Is this real? Is this not real? And the theory is like if you're 8-1, 9-1, 10-1 in one score games, there's something fluky about that. We've
Yeah.
talked about this a lot for years. And there was that Cousins Vikings year a couple years ago when they just had crazy luck in one score games, but we knew they weren't good.
Right.
I don't feel that way at all about this Vikings team. I think they're legitimately good. And I actually think they shouldn't have been in as many one score games as they were because they just had these dumb games that all of a sudden in the last 5 minutes, the other team
Yeah.
scored
This was one of them.
whatever.
Yeah.
So to me, they're not like to me, they're a legitimate, awesome contender, and I think you could make the case. I think I would bet against them against any NFC team.
Wait, say that again. You would do
I
what?
think I'm
Chicken
sorry.
shit.
No,
Yeah.
no, I screwed up. I think I would bet on them
Okay.
against any NFC team. I like them the most.
Yeah. I think so too. It's really tough. That coach just showed me so much. When 2 minutes, 20 seconds, Green Bay has 3 timeouts. Almost anybody just runs it into the line 3 times. And you have to treat it like you're losing the game
Yep.
at that point. That's exactly what he did. The next 4 plays, 3 of them were throws. None really like to Jefferson or Addison or
Yeah.
like Hawkinson. Like it was like all just like nice plays, but they made it nice and easy. And Darnold's just so comfortable in that situation.
Yeah, and the second down, it was like 2nd and 9. Jefferson was cutting across and
Right.
Darnold just whipped it. And it was a great throw, but it was probably 4 receivers in the league can get that extra like split
Yeah.
second of a step and also make the catch in traffic. And then the game ender, they ran the classic fake, everybody runs to the left. Oh, the quarterback circles around to the right, lofts over the screen
Smart.
pass. It's one of the best plays. I almost turned into Collinsworth when I watched that. But I'm like, oh
Uh,
yeah, I just love that. I just love
I,
when teams do that.
Bill, there's only one Lamar Jackson, but there's another one here with Michael Pennington, maybe even a third one with Jaden Daniels, and the referees are Lamar Jackson. Everyone's Lamar Jackson.
I can't believe the JJ McCarthy thing is even a question at this
No,
point. There's no way
yeah,
Darnold's their quarterback now. This is done. It's a
right.
wrap. It's like this is Brady Bledsoe multiplied by 17. Brady Bledsoe, even heading into the playoffs, was still an argument. There's no argument anymore.
I'm
Whether they
with you.
keep McCarthy for a year and just, keep him as a backup and then figure out what to do. But considering the quarterback class is pretty shaky beyond the top two, I feel like they could get like a mid first round pick for him or a late first rounder or high second rounder. That's somewhere in like the 15 to 35 range, right? For him.
Well, the best part is teams like the Giants dropping out of the top two quarterback
Oh my
slot,
God.
right?
Yeah.
And
Can't wait to talk about
who
that.
may have to trade up to get like a JJ McCarthy now.
All right. Switching gears. There's some big questions left. Can the Bengals make the playoffs? Is one of them, which I think everybody wants just as football fans because Burrow's been so great this year. The scenario is this: they have to beat Pittsburgh. Denver has to lose to Carson Wentz and the Chiefs. And the Dolphins have to lose to that hot garbage Jets team, who was just a complete train wreck of an embarrassment until
Hmm.
Tyrod Taylor came in the fourth quarter. And now, granted,
Yes.
it's garbage time. Buffalo, they won the game.
Hmm.
It's a wrap. Tyrod Taylor, all of a sudden, it was a little like the Penix Cousins thing. He can move around. He was making plays. I think they'd be crazy not to start him next week if they want to protect their pick, which is probably like top 7, top 8 at this
Hmm.
point. You play Rodgers because he's a sunk cost at this point. But
Yeah.
if they play Tyrod Taylor, I could see them beating Miami. I mean, Miami was, it does seem like Tua is going to play next week.
Yeah.
Cleveland's so bad and Thompson Robinson is so bad. Miami, like they had no choice but to win that game, but the Jets could beat them.
I'm trying
But
to
then it
look
comes
at
down to Carson Wentz.
yeah, so that obviously they put all these games together. Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, Raiders, Dolphins, Jets.
Yeah.
Uh those are the late afternoon games. Yeah. So I think you're right. I have no idea with Tua. Well, you and I were like, what the hell's going on? JJ, John Jastremski, big Dolphins fan. Give us a heads
Yeah.
up about Tua. We don't find out until Thursday. He may not play again. So you might end up with a garbage match like that. But it was so fun watching Tyrod being better than A-Rod. Really, really great. Unbelievable
Rodgers
stuff.
was just horrible. I did a 13 pointer, which I think I lost 3 legs of. It was my one losing bet today, other than this last one at the end. Um, Rodgers was so bad, and it was so hopeless from the moment it was like, I don't know, 12-0, 19-0. It was just you just knew it was over. Doesn't seem like the teammates like him that much. Wilson,
No.
there's stuff about like if Rodgers is back next year, please trade me. That stuff's
Right.
starting to float around. Um, and it'd be really funny if Taylor came in and the Jets were awesome next week. Miami
Let's just
is
read,
not,
let me read a couple Rogers things. First of all, he goes in
please.
there. He's supposed to go for his 500 touchdown pass. I'm like, oh, this is gonna suck. Not that they'd stop the game in Buffalo, but
Yeah.
he's gonna get 500. Devontae Adams is like, I'm playing. I want to be there.
Yeah.
I want to catch the 500. I'm like, shit. Instead, he sets the sack record. He's the most sacked quarterback
Yeah.
of all time. And my favorite of all, it was early in the first quarter, maybe middle of the first quarter, 3rd and 1, driving right to left. He rolls right and he's got nothing but daylight. And Romo even's like, run it. And Romo doesn't do that. He does a lot of
Yeah.
what people might think are annoying things, but he wouldn't like, he definitely like blurted it out when he didn't mean to. He had 15 yards of daylight, maybe too scared or whatever to take off. He fires the ball at his receiver's shins and then yells at the receiver.
Right.
Like, and the receiver's like, oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention. Me and the other receivers are watching, thought you'd walk the ball into the end zone here, but
Yeah.
a 1.2 QBR today, the lowest QBR in a game since Davis Mills, point 0.8 in 2021. Good job by you, Aaron Rodgers.
And you ruined Peter Schrager's season.
I didn't do it.
Our guy Schrags. There was a tweet that had over 3 million views at the time of this taping by somebody on Twitter named Steak Friend. He said, Jets getting Aaron Rodgers is like finally banging your high school crush when she's 40 and has 4 kids.
That's great.
Over 3 million views at this point.
That's good.
Lost in how bad Rodgers has been is how bad Jeff Ulbricht's been as the Jets interim coach.
Yeah.
Today they had 16 penalties for 120 yards. That's like
Hmm.
that makes the Patriots look like well behaved by contract. He's horrible. One thing we've learned this year is that the interim coach isn't necessarily this magic elixir because the Bears are way worse,
Yeah.
right? The Jets, I think if they had had Salah, they at least with Salah, their defense was better.
We
Like
had the
that fell
clogger.
apart.
We were enamored with the clogger for a minute, and then
Yeah,
that went to
Spencer
shit,
Rattler. Hard to
ironically.
say with the
Yeah.
clogger.
Yeah.
But yeah, rough Jets season. I feel bad for the Jets fans. Um, one thing with the Bengals,
I think they're about 16-1 if you put those three possibilities together to make the playoffs.
if you're if you're KC, do you lose intentionally to Denver? Is a question somebody texted me today that I thought was
Yeah.
intriguing. I don't think teams lose intentionally in the NFL. I guess you
Hmm.
could play like your third string QB and not give a shit, but they're just much better off if Denver is the seventh seed than Cincinnati, I think.
Well, all right, let's think about this. Wouldn't they want Cincinnati to play Buffalo? I mean, I think they want Buffalo out, right? You're
Yeah,
not going
so
to play
that
both those teams. So
oh,
if
so
you,
you're
if
saying so beat Denver to try to
yeah,
get Cincinnati into the seventh seed. That's
yeah, I think
interesting.
so. You don't have to. You're not going against Cincinnati in the first round. So you're going against one of those two teams. I think they'll slap Cincinnati around if they have to go to Arrowhead. I mean, that's a flawed team. We like rooting for them. I think you could have it both ways, like we said. Like we could talk about how bad they are and how they can't get out of their own way, and also not want to meet them in the first round. So
Yeah, their defense is pretty awful. It was
yeah.
interesting because that game feels like it happened 100 years ago and it was yesterday. But
Hmm.
uh, I don't think Sean Payton covered himself in glory yesterday with some of the calls,
Right.
some of the clock management, just in general. It's something I've noticed over and over again with him, where people seem to think he's this, like he's this, like kind of what we were talking about with Kevin O'Connell earlier. But instead,
Mm.
it just feels like I don't know. Were you
Well,
happy with how he coached yesterday?
no, I don't know. I was a little confused, right? But I think people wanted him to go for the 2-point conversion at the end of regulation.
Well, he needed the
And
tie, right?
yeah, so they needed the tie as good as a win.
Tie was as
So,
good as a win, so it didn't make sense to go for the win because in overtime a tie would have won it for
and
them too.
also Bengals kicker sucks. He was probably
Yeah.
factoring that in that too. So we'll
And
go to
Chase Brown got
overtime.
hurt.
And Chase Brown got hurt. And also they went 3-and-out Cincinnati. So they had the ball, Denver, with a chance to win with a field goal.
They had it
But
twice. They had two
yeah.
series in overtime, and they had that 2nd and 9, or it was like 2nd and 7. They ran the wide
Yeah.
receiver screen. The guy got tackled for two in the first series. Bo Nix tried to throw it deep for some reason, didn't get it. It was weird. I just felt like they could have run the ball on Cincy all day. They ran the ball for 5 yards a carry. It was a bad
I did
loss.
too. I mean, I felt the same with it was a very similar game to tonight's, right? Like,
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson could have run the ball and they could have done that. And I thought it was like one of the luckiest covers of 2024. Maybe tonight changed that, but I don't know. Cincinnati's a weird team. Like Burrow's great. And like you said, like they have that pitch and catch thing going for
Yeah.
7 yards. Like no one's gonna Higgins is gonna get Juan Soto money next year. Good for him. But
Hopefully
I
from
don't
the
know.
Patriots.
There you go.
MVP race, at least when I checked it this couple hours ago, Allen was minus 300, Lamar was
That's what I
plus
saw.
250,
Yeah.
and Burrow and Barkley were 15-1. And the thinking was if Burrow somehow got the 7th seed for the Bengals, he has to be in the MVP consideration. I just don't agree.
Burrow's
I don't think you
30 to
can
1
win.
now. Yeah.
Oh, he's 30-1. I
He
don't think
went
you can
back to
lose
30.
eight. You can't lose 8 times in a season to be the MVP. That's absurd.
It's dead money. Yeah, that's a waste. I think it's got to be Josh. I think it's fair to say, all right, whoever gets the seed, the 2 seed, it could be I mean, it can't be Mahomes. His numbers don't support it, right? So it's got to be the Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, and give it to whoever has a 2 seed at this point.
It's tough. There's some stat stuff that's a little more favorable for Lamar. Eye test
Mhm.
was a little more favorable for Josh. Um, I would say the infrastructure of the roster is you'd probably want Baltimore's a little bit more.
Yeah.
Buffalo had a lot more uncertainty heading into the season. Um, I don't
Does
really
that
know.
just crack your brain when you hear like Josh Allen broke Thurman Thomas's record for like the Bills touchdown rushes? Like for
Right.
someone who watched football and loved it and go in college in the 90s, like what really? He really did already. Like that's spectacular.
I mean, right now, And I don't know if there's a 100% right answer. I like when people get so upset about it. It was like like we've had some NBA MVP things like this too. Right now, I think it could really come down to something as stupid as Baltimore's 5 losses and Buffalo's 3, because
Yeah.
it's really close. And it's just like Buffalo's had a better, been a better team. I've been a little more impressed with their season. I think
Hmm.
both guys are equally important. He doesn't have anything like Derrick Henry. He doesn't have the
Right.
coaching infrastructure that the Ravens had. And even though McDermott is a top 7 or 8 coach, the Ravens have been doing this forever. I would just have slight edge to Josh. So we're just
More
asking if the
wins.
head does the head to head matter?
Well,
So
how about this?
Baltimore beat him 35 to
Yeah.
10 in week 4. So that's a case for Lamar. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
So Rudy, shut up. We've been doing this for like 37 years. We don't need your help. No, no, it's a good question, but I think here's what matters more. They beat the 1 seed, right? Baltimore didn't. They were a toe
Right.
away
They have
from
the
beating
only
the 1 seed.
KC win.
Yeah, they have more wins and they beat the 1 seed. And you're not giving it to Mahomes.
Another thing off Josh Allen. I won our keeper fantasy league today.
Yeah, congratulations. I saw
Thank you.
that. Easily, right?
You know, it was an emotional time for me and my fans
There we
because
go.
we had Joe Burrow. We've had this league 4 years.
Uh,
I had Joe Burrow year 1. We had this rule where you could keep him for a maximum of 4 years. So he's been with my team the whole time.
oh, he's
And then he
gone.
really came through in the last game, and it meant a lot to me and my fans
Mhm.
to watch him do that for my fake fantasy team and his fake teammates.
You'll get him
41.1
back.
points. The question though about fantasy, is it possible to win a league if you didn't have Allen, Lamar, Burrow, or Baker this year? Kind of feels like you
Interesting.
had to have one of those 4 guys. Who did Tony have in
Well, you said Barkley, right? Did you mention Barkley?
No, I'm saying one of those
Oh,
four
quarterbacks. Oh,
quarterbacks.
I see. Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
have it's because it was unusual because normally we always talk about how quarterbacks don't matter that much in
I know.
fantasy.
I
And
know.
then this year, yeah, who did Tony have in our knockout league? He had
Let's see.
Lamar
Yeah, he won
Jackson.
too. Yeah, I know.
I would love to know like percentage of leagues won by those 4 quarterbacks has to be like 80%.
Yeah, it's off topic, but I did see 50% of all leagues that had teams that had Barkley made the finals at least. I did see some kind of ESPN stat, but that's Barkley. I know you're talking quarterbacks here. You're gonna bid for how much will you bid? So I know now on
Burrow,
Burrow next
I
year.
need Burrow. Well, I'm gonna
I
have to
got him
figure.
back. I can see it.
Joe,
I know it.
4
I
more
know
years, Joe. I asked Craig Horlbeck from the Ringer Fantasy Show about like who were the guys you had to have this year that seemed to be around the most titles,
it.
and he said the guys that tripled your odds of making the finals were J.J. Jefferson,
Hmm.
Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Saquon,
Yeah.
Gibbs, Lamar, James Conner, and Brock Bowers, who was wasted
James
on my shitty
Conner.
team in our other league. But just like whatever you paid for them or wherever you drafted them, whatever the return
Oh,
was
right,
way
right.
higher than what you got. But Brock Bowers was a good example. Like if you had him, like he's going to be the number 1 tight end next year.
Speaking of, forget that. I'm looking for him for, well, they don't have him, but he should maybe win MVP. I mean, that junk squad of quarterbacks have been thrown to him. He's
I
setting
know
records.
he's made Aiden O'Connell look like a possible keeper.
It's
Maybe
craziness.
they don't need a QB.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. That's a good pivot. The Giants. So we have the Raiders who win 2 games in a row and completely knock themselves out of a possible Sanders or Cam Ward. I gotta say, I didn't like Cam Ward leaving the bowl game at halftime.
No,
No, I didn't like
nobody's
that.
going to care. Nobody's going to. No
I didn't
team's
like
gonna
it.
care.
I just don't think Drake May would have done that in North Carolina. I think he would have stayed. I think he would have played both halves.
I think, all right. I mean,
So
no
the
team
Giants-
is going to care, but go ahead. Yeah.
We had the Drew Lock game today. You could feel it immediately. The Colts were in a coma. I don't know what happened to them. This murdered, I think, 80% of the teases and parlays that people made today because they'd already,
Well, it had
like
to.
me, made all their bets that they'd already won. It's like, what do I do on Sunday?
Yeah.
All right, I'll throw the Colts in something. And the Giants somehow win. So now the Giants are 4. Pats are 1. Tennessee's 2. Cleveland's 3. And most important, the Pats are 1. I was going nuts. I was
Why are you going nuts? Why?
I was going nuts.
What are you going to do with it?
We're gonna trade down. We're gonna get a fucking haul. I want to make
All
that
right.
Carolina Bears trade. Let's do that. Let's get like move back 7 spots, get somebody else's first, get a player, get a second. Like let's fucking cash that thing in. I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
All right. I mean,
This
it's not
weekend went
like
great if you're a
you
Pats
have your
fan.
quarterback, or you're not out on May, right? You have your quarterback,
I
so now
love
you're going to
Drake May.
trade it, and you'll get something. I don't know. I feel like I say good for the Giants. I really do. Like I don't love the tanking talk. I think it's a bad word. It should only be used for the NBA. This is one of the reasons, many reasons, the NFL is infinitely better. But like, half these guys are playing hard because they don't even
Yeah,
know if they're going to be on the team next year. Like Malik Neighbors is the only one safe, and Drew Lock gave him probably his best game of the year so
right.
far. So good for the Giants. Earn your paycheck. I know it's easy to burn down the fledgling local tavern and collect on the insurance, but guys out there trying. I'd go for that every time.
Counter. This Giant season was so depressing
Mm-hmm.
that it was kind of hilarious that it was like, all right, we're the number one pick, just two
Yeah.
more games. And then all of a sudden they have a fun 3 hours and completely ruin it. But you're right. This is the difference between football and basketball is you can't really tank when in a sport with like non-guaranteed contracts where they change half the
Yeah.
roster every year. Um, it
Well,
was
I'm not
just,
saying like the GMs, the front office, and the players are on a different wavelength, I think, right? Like it's not like that in any other sport. And I think it's
yeah.
because of what I said. Like half these guys aren't going to be Giants next year. So they're just like trying to put together, you think Tracy Jr. is definitely going to be re-signed by the Giants? Like, no, they're going to try their asses off.
If the Pats beat the Bills next week, I'm going to lose my mind. I just want you to know right now. They better, first of all, Gonzalez has a concussion, so don't play him. He's the best defensive player. Like, put him on
Right.
the side. I would not play Drake May. Sit him down for week 18. Play Joe Milton, the third string guy. Like they have to lose this Buffalo game. And if you're Buffalo, I would want the Pats to beat us. I don't want that. They're in our division. I wouldn't want the Pats to have the number one pick and trade back and get Mike Vrabel as the coach. This was a huge week for Pats fans though, because there's real momentum now for like, hey, maybe we need an actual coach and a GM.
Well,
Maybe
he's gone.
getting
The coach will
worse
be gone. Yeah.
getting worse in every part of football over the course of 4 months. Maybe that was a bad sign. Maybe that we fucked up the draft and free agency and did basically everything wrong. Maybe all that was a bad sign. And that we
I
hit the
agree.
ladder with this Drake May guy. Um,
I just don't like the losing and going crazy for the one pick, and it's stinking thinking. Simmons is what it is.
no, I feel dirty, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Speaking of dirty, the Colts, 4 straight years of absolutely horrible, indefensible end of the
Mm.
year losses or choke jobs, or like even last year where they had a chance to make the playoffs and they blow it on the fourth down. They had that 2021. They lost to Jacksonville when Jim Irsay's like, "Get Carson Wentz off the team. I don't ever want
Right.
to see him again." So it's 4 straight years of that. I think Shane Steichen's a secret might get fired after the year guy. I have no
Interesting.
inside info. I just think that
Mm.
team's looked pretty ratchet the whole year. Like I don't think they're well coached. I think they've underachieved, and he's we always have that one surprise firing after week 18. He would be my leading
Did
suspect.
he get an extension? I mean, because that's the key. That's the tell all that he's going to get fired if he
I
got an
don't think so.
extension.
I think
He
he's only
didn't.
in a 2 year. He's in year two, right? He was a first year coach last year.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, this is second. I'm thinking of someone else. Yeah, it
Yeah.
might be the case that there just aren't enough new good coaches out there. He might have been on the bubble and saved himself. But yeah, you're right. They're pitiful.
It's absolutely ludicrous that Mike Vrabel wouldn't be getting
Oh
hounded by
yeah,
like 5 teams.
right.
Mike Vrabel, I think in 21, he went 12-5 with this banged up Tennessee team. Ryan Tannehill, who I don't think ever started a full season again as a quarterback. AJ Brown, who got traded after the year. I just always felt like that team was supremely, extraordinarily well coached. They always overachieved. I never really understood how they were doing it. And I
Right.
don't understand, like, if you're the Jets, the Bears, people are like, the Bears need an offensive coach. The Bears need a coach. It doesn't have to be an offensive
Hmm.
coach, just somebody that will give them some sort of culture, which is what the Pats
He's
need.
number one. I mean, I think he gets to pick his spot. So if you're him,
Has to.
where do you go? Like, where do you? I mean, he could probably coach at
I
UNC
mean,
now and steal that job from Belichick if he
my
wants.
dream would be he was in the Patriots Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And you think like you got Drake May, you have all this cap space, and you have
Hmm.
the number one pick. Like that seems like the best job. I don't know. You go to the Bears and their ownership's a complete mess. And you're doing everything wrong,
Mhm.
and you've built this team that's this run and gun team to play in Chicago in 10-degree weather. I don't know. I wouldn't want that job. The Jets job's mildly intriguing. They do have a lot of talent. I just said a Woody Johnson thing. I'm not sure I'd want to work for him.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Well,
Who?
they
Why?
asked
Who would
him.
you want?
Well, if I'm him, I think you stay out of the NFC North. That's a disaster when you have 13 win teams
It's a
making
great point. Yeah. Why do you
making the
want to be
wild
in
card.
Detroit and Minnesota, Green Bay, and battle those teams six
It's
times a
too
year?
long. Yeah, it's too long. So it's not a sexy team, and you can't be happy with Anthony Richardson at this point. But I think you'd stay in any AFC South job that you could get. I mean, the bad divisions are still the bad divisions. Maybe
So
New Orleans.
Jacksonville.
Yeah, somewhere like that.
So
But
Matt, couple other short things I had for you. Mac Jones has as many wins this year as Trevor Lawrence.
Mhm.
Just pointing that out. I am 25-5
You did a
on
great job.
season future over unders, thanks
You
to the
did.
Atlanta loss today. I need a Houston win and an Arizona win next week, and I would go 27-5.
Wow.
Which we have all these media accounts where everybody shits on anyone with a podcast or a column or a feature or whatever, and it's like this cottage industry. There's no like benevolent version of it where it's like, hey,
No.
this person did a really good job. Hey, cousin Sal is 13-2 on wisest wagers. Good luck to him
Right.
this week. We need like happy version of those terrible media accounts.
I'm with you. So get the Ringer people to plug
Like
it.
25 and
Just do
5
it.
over unders. Put that on some fucking
Make a
tweet
freaking
somewhere.
billboard outside your
Losers.
house. You got money. Do it. It's fun. 25-5. We did great on the other futures, right?
Yeah.
You
We
you
hit
beat
the
me in that. Yeah.
I
We
had
have
two
we
locks. I had Carolina under, New England under, 3, and Green Bay over. All those hit.
so maybe we should tell people what to stay away from because I mean we hit the mother load if the Lions get the 1 seed. And I
Wow.
specifically do because I got 26-1 on Chiefs Lions 1 seed. And so
Amazing.
again, after how many years, still don't know how to hedge this. We got 5-1
Well,
odds, right? On the
when we
one
get
seed.
the lines, let's talk about the
Okay.
hedge for that.
You got it. Go ahead.
Dorian Thompson Robinson threw a pick today, no touchdown.
Hmm.
Career, 1 touchdown, 10 picks. I was like, I wonder who else has done that. I wonder what other players in NBA and NFL history have 1 touchdown or less and 10 interceptions or more. So you have that stat head on the
Right.
Pro Football Reference. So I went up. How many other people do you think have done that? History.
Three,
History of football. 5.
5.
Nobody
Anyone
since
we know? Any
nobody
of
in the
our
last
friends?
40 years.
Uh-huh.
We had Stan Heath, 1 touchdown, 14 interceptions. Len Barnum, 0 for 10.
Mm.
Randy Hedberg in 1977, 0 for 10.
It's like an accounting firm. Who are these people?
Wayne Clark, 0 touchdowns, 14 picks in the early part of the 70s.
Huh. Nice.
And then Rusty Lish,
Mm.
1 touchdown, 11 picks. So he's
That
done
doesn't
something nobody's
sound like
done
a
in 40
quarterback
years.
name. That I mean,
Rusty Lish?
you deserve what you get if you're drafting a Rusty Lish. I mean, that's not a
Collinsworth would have
quarterback.
trouble with that one.
Oh,
Rusty
Rusty.
Lish or a pass rush.
Passion rushes. Yeah. 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 The DTR, did he seem right to you? I felt like something was off.
No,
with
he
him.
seemed hurt. And I don't think
I'm making a joke. That's what we say about the good quarterbacks. Like, are we going to find out he was injured?
no, I think he actually was hurt. Well, he's
could you
also
tell?
not good, but he was
He had
hurt.
1 interception. He had 1 fumble. He had 3 intentional groundings and a 20
Yeah.
QBR. And
Well,
plus whatever you're saying. Yeah.
Now that's a team that is tanking. They want to get a top 3 pick. They have a chance to get 1 or 2 if one of those teams, if Tennessee or the Pats. So they're like, we're not playing Jameis again. Jameis is too unreliable. He might actually win this game. He might actually beat Miami. We can't play him.
I
Last
don't know
thing
what their plan is. I mean, they're gonna they basically announced this week they're gonna keep Watson for 2 more years. I mean, that deal
Yeah, they
just
have a
gets worse
choice.
and worse.
Last thing before guest lines, Greg Gumbel passed away, and they were talking
Yeah.
about him in all the games the last couple of days. I was really bummed out. I
Yeah.
feel like, especially people who grew up with the 80s at ESPN, and he was one of the 5 or 6 people, right? It was him, it was Gail Gardner, it was Chris Berman, it was Tom Lee. We had it was the same 6 people for an entire decade, and then he went on. He kind of graduated, did all this stuff. He became a studio host. He
The
did
original WFAN guy too in New York.
right,
Yeah,
going way
yeah.
back.
Hmm.
And then has a really important he did the tuck roll game, aka the snow game
Oh,
for Pats
right.
fans. He announced
Last
that one,
game
but
in
beloved
Foxborough.
guy
Yeah.
by all accounts and feels like he's been in our lives ever since we like sports. I was bummed.
And and yet, like a dozen years older than I would have thought, like
Right.
78, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
know he helped him. He looked young, and but yeah, man, I would get very excited. I'm a big Selection Sunday guy. I write it down, even though they have the bracket right on the TV. And when the Duke Blue Devils are the #1 seed in the East region, just
Right.
like something cool and you could rely on. And yeah, he'll be missed. Another great
Pat
voice gone.
passed through a lot of great sports and sports moments. I was thinking about that whole ESPN crew in the 80s. That was like our lifeline to all this highlights and information back then.
Hmm. Yeah.
Right. And you had these people and it was like the same way like the local news anchors mean the most in your dad's house in the 70s. We had these 6, 7, 8 people that were just the people we found out what happened. And
Hmm.
you really felt like you had relationships with all of them, you know. And Berman was like the funny one. Tom Lee was the serious one. And
Yeah.
Bob Lee
Yeah.
he was like the professor, and then Charlie Steiner showed it. And it's just like I don't know, Gumbel was in those, and when he graduated out of that, it was like, whoa, somebody hired one of the ESPN guys. It felt
Right.
like we all kind of made it. Anyway, all right, guess the lines. Week
Let's do it.
18. We're gonna go in order of
Do you have
impact.
do you care so you know what the Saturdays are, right?
Yeah, I didn't do it that way though. I'm just gonna follow this
All
schedule
right.
I had because the biggest game, the NFC 1 seed on
That's
the
the only one you
line,
need to
that's
know.
gonna be
Yeah.
Sunday night, right?
That's Sunday
How
night.
can that
Yep.
not be?
I mean, they saved it. I mean, honestly, if the Vikings lose that game, I'm not sure what NBC does and the league does with that game. I think they maybe have to stop with the everyone plays a division the last week. I think maybe
Mm.
just go with like the preseason, the playoffs from last year and try to mix them up and try to get lucky because now we see that like only 1 out of 8 divisions or two in the AFC North's case barely matter, but most of these are settled by week 18.
Um, I called Tom Meades Tom Lee, by the way, because
Yeah,
I'm
it's all
old.
right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
fine.
it's good.
I didn't mean to.
Rest in peace.
Um, Lions Vikings. It's in Detroit. I'm giving this to Tic Tac. So
Hmm.
Lions -1.5 against Minnesota for the 1 seed. I think this is a dead even game. You could even talk me into Minnesota being favored in this, but I don't think it'll start that way. So I'm going Lions -1.5.
All right, I have to now adjust because some of these have moved. I said -3. It's -2.5 for the Detroit Lions.
Interesting. I
I
love
get
the
that, and I'm
Vikings.
telling you right now, I might get 2 more, and that's it. We almost shouldn't count this week, much like they don't count week 18 in fantasy. I almost think we shouldn't count this for guess the lines, and I'm not just saying that because I'm off by 4 points every game.
Detroit does not need to beat San Francisco tomorrow.
Right.
The game somehow doesn't matter, even though week 18 matters the most, which is just weird.
Kornacki was a little he threw me a little bit. I feel like he made it like they did need that this game did matter. And then like, no, 49ers doesn't matter at all.
It 100% does not matter. Dan Campbell's doing the whole we're playing anyone anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be crazy to do that. But
Sure.
week 6, Detroit won 31-29.
Yep.
Somehow we had 3 2-point games that the Vikings were involved with against the Lions and Green Bay. Just is weird.
Right. Right. That's where the tic tac comes into play. The 1.5. Got to get it the right way.
NFC South on the line, not really. Falcons win. They get the 4 seed. They're playing the Panthers in Atlanta. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I screwed this up. Tampa wins, they get the 4 seed. Right?
Yes. Tampa's up a game. They
Yeah.
lose the tiebreaker if they lose a game.
So Tampa wins, they get it. Tampa loses, Atlanta wins. Atlanta gets it because they beat Tampa Bay twice. Tampa is home for the Saints who stink. And Tampa's offense is really good. And as we discussed earlier, Baker Mayfield, fantasy MVP, at
Yeah.
least one of them. I have the Bucks minus 10.5.
Oh, I'm going to beat you here. I had 11.5. It's 13.5.
Wow. Think about that.
We're going to have to, we're going to
Can you
have to do something
imagine
here.
if I told you in mid-August, week 18, the Bucks are going to be favored by 13.5 against the Saints? What would you
Yeah.
have thought happened?
Uh, I would have thought the Saints named Spencer Rattler their starter. I would
And
have
had the
started there.
Clogger as their coach?
Yeah. God, they're
This
so bad.
this would have been so much more fun if Atlanta won today because we would have had all kinds of scenarios. Washington would have to
Sure.
win. There was all different tiebreaker shit. We
Right.
won our NFC South bet, by the way, so kudos to us.
Oh, good with the under.
Yeah,
Nice.
because they can only have two more.
Two more. Yeah.
The highest it could get to 28, so we made it by two.
It wasn't even scary. When was it its scariest? I'm trying to think. I guess when New Orleans beat up on Dallas and
A week
Carolina,
ago
it
it
was like
was, yeah.
a week
When
ago?
Carolina
Really?
started upsetting people, and it was like,
Oh,
holy shit. Like if
yeah, that was
Carolina
weird.
won today and Atlanta, I guess Carolina was playing a NFC South team
Yeah,
too.
they're still, yeah.
But if Atlanta had won, yeah, it got a little closer than I wanted. Falcons against the Panthers. I have Falcons. This is in Atlanta. I have Falcons by 7.5 against the Panthers.
Oh, you got it exactly. I had 8, but it's not going to matter.
Teaser?
Well, I just worry that Baker does like he did today and has like 40 points up there, and Atlanta calls off the dogs. You know what I mean? They're playing the same time, obviously, right? Yeah.
I'm gonna put the Washington game in this category too. No, I can't do that now because they lost. I need to put them in a different category. Hold on. Doing this on the fly here. Okay. Put them later.
The
Yeah.
problem with
Okay.
this is, and I'm going to show my hand here, is a lot of these lines don't reflect when Thursday the coach says we're sitting everybody, and then the lines fly another 5 points.
I
So
know.
just be careful, everyone.
NFC West on the line, sort of. The Rams are minus 2.5 against the Seahawks. Oh no, that was my guess. I screwed that up. The game is in LA, and I have the Rams minus 2.5 over the Seahawks. I should have let you guess first.
Uh, I had Seattle by 1, and it's Seattle by 2.5. The Rams
Okay.
are in, right? The
They're
Rams are
not
in.
necessarily 100% in yet.
No, they needed like one more team to win. Like 12 things had to
No, I'm
happen.
going to go through it.
Oh, it's crazy what needs to happen for Seattle to win for this game to matter.
They need. Oh no, they're out. You're right, because they needed Atlanta to beat Washington.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
Washington. I think
done.
that was the last one.
Oh
Yeah,
man, so this
I'm
doesn't
keeping that. I
matter.
don't care. I'm taking that win.
Yeah, take it.
Go. What
See,
else we got?
I did all the work for Washington winning, and then when Atlanta
Mm-hmm.
came back, I changed all the work, and then I
I
didn't
know.
change all of it back.
Raheem screwed everything up.
I was so excited to go through all the things that needed to happen in Week 18 for
It's
Seattle
like two
because
things. Yeah.
it was actually pretty conceivable. They needed Arizona to beat San Francisco, Denver to beat KC,
Yeah.
Atlanta to beat Carolina. All three of those things could happen. Miami
Yeah.
to beat the Jets, still conceivable. Chicago to beat Green Bay, not playing for anything, not inconceivable. Chargers, Vegas. Tampa beats New
Was it the
Orleans.
Saints or something? Yeah.
No,
Oh,
the weird one
Tampa.
was the Pats would have had to beat Buffalo. That's where the wheels kind of got
That's
rocky.
gonna happen. Get ready.
Yeah. All right. Playoff spot on the line. 3 teams, 1 spot. Broncos against the Chiefs. It's in Denver.
Wow.
I did Broncos minus 7.5.
You know, I said 4.5, and it was 7.5. It went to 8.5. So you get it.
Wow.
Man, that's high. I guess if Carson Wentz just plays with all second string, like the whole first string sits, then it's going to be tough. But that's a lot of points for Denver. It's a lot.
I don't know. I kind of like the Chiefs in that game.
Yeah.
I like the Chiefs, and I don't know if I mind the Chiefs money line either. I could see them being like, fuck it. We're not playing for 2 weeks after this. We'll play Carson Wentz. Let's run all our
Mm.
stuff. I don't know. I'd be
Here's
nervous
what I
about that game
know.
because
I
Denver's
mean,
not that good.
how many favorites have FanDuel and Vegas gotten walloped on in the last year? I don't know, 4 months.
Colts today.
There's a team that's going to
All right.
blow it for everybody. There's a team. Could be them.
Dolphins are home for the Jets. I'm
At
sorry.
Jets.
Jets are
Yeah.
home for the Dolphins, but
Yeah.
Dolphins need a win and they need a Denver loss. And Tua might not play. Stu Puntley was like passable today and people were excited about it.
Yeah.
I don't see how this can be less than Dolphins by 4.5.
All right. I got it exactly. It's 2.5.
Wow.
But I was getting a headache thinking of these. I really was. It's
Who
this
in
is
God's name would bet the Jets? Well, now if they had Tyrod Taylor, I might bet them
they
because
have a
it might be a
chance. That's
whole
it.
spite game
Snoop against Taylor. I love it.
by the teammates.
Yeah.
Steelers Bengals in Pittsburgh. Cincy needs a win plus Denver Miami losses. Pittsburgh gets the 3 seed with a win and a Baltimore loss. Pittsburgh could drop to 6 if they lose and the Chargers win. I did Steelers minus 1.5.
Wow. I did Cincy -3, and it's Cincy -2.5.
What?
Yep.
That's stupid. I'm gonna bet the Steelers. I'm just telling you.
No, don't bet the
I'm
Steelers. They're
100%
no
betting the
good.
Steelers. Dude,
They're
the
no
Bengals
good.
aren't good. The Bengals are 8-8.
Listen, you cursed the Steelers 3 weeks ago when you
Didn't curse
you
anyone.
named them the best team. You cursed the Steelers and you cursed Drake May. I cursed everybody else in the league, but you cursed the Steelers and Drake May.
I said
I'm
3 weeks.
responsible.
I said what 4 weeks ago. I said I thought the Steelers were playing the best of anyone in the AFC. Pickens immediately
Yeah,
got hurt. That bunch
yeah,
of their guys on defense got hurt, and Russell Wilson turned into Denver Russell Wilson.
yeah.
My words were hanging in the air, and all of a sudden, you go the other way though, and you could say they just played 3 really tough teams in 11 days, and maybe they're still pretty good.
Pickens played last week on Christmas. It didn't matter. Russell Wilson, the defense is just average right now for whatever reason. And if
Defense hasn't been good for like a month.
if Hustle and Bustle isn't playing out of his mind, it might as well be anyone. These Steelers team.
Steelers are home dogs, and they need the game. And playing a team that doesn't have a good defense and has a pretty shaky coach. Let's be honest. I know he made a Super Bowl.
I don't think they start anyone. Honestly, I don't think they care. I
You
think
think they don't
Tomlin's the
care if
kind of
they're
guy.
2 or
Yeah,
3?
yeah. I think he's like, give us the Ravens again. It's fine because they play at the same time. The Ravens are going to be up 30-0 on the Browns, and that'll be. Oh no, they play the same day, but later in that day.
Would you rather play the Ravens or the Bills if you're the Steelers?
Um, I think the Ravens. Isn't that always like an 18-16 game for the most part?
Yeah, and they've beaten them a few times. They beat them
Yeah,
earlier this year.
they'll figure it out. Still lose, but
AFC seeding kind of sort of on the line. Chargers at the Raiders. Raiders are red hot. Chargers could get the 5 seed with a win and a Pittsburgh
what a
loss.
stupid team.
I have the Chargers favored by 8.
I gotta find this now. I had 7. Let's see where it is. I gotta find it because they're all moving around. 5.5. So I get it.
Wow. Vegas owned us. Are you
You
going to
gonna
beat me
tease
this
that?
week? Feels like you're
You're
going to
gonna
beat me.
tease that? This is crazy. I mean, I have some bad ones coming up.
I always suck in week 18. My fans were prepared for I take it easy like the Chiefs.
We could do this, Jacoby. Hang in there.
Ravens are home against the Browns. They get the 3 seed with a win. Cleveland clinches a top 3 pick with a loss. You can kind of guess where this game's going. I'm going Ravens by 13.5.
Okay. I said 15. 17.5.
Wow.
It's the biggest of the year, right?
Jesus.
Gotta be.
I mean, I can't even put that in a 13-point tees. What am I going to do
You
with that
can.
line?
You can. It's fine. The Brown, like you said, the Browns aren't going to put up a fight.
NFC 6 seed on the line, technically. Washington has the edge right now. They're at Dallas, and the Packers are home for the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
Washington, I have minus 3.5 over your
Oh,
Cowboys.
son of a bitch. You got it exactly. I thought it would be 5. It's 3.5.
I had a small bet on the Cowboys with the over in that game
Ugh.
teased. Cooper Rush was awful. I mean, your team was awful, but Cooper
What?
Rush, like, why don't they just don't want to see what Trey Lance, what's there? They've
It's a
just given up on
mystery.
him?
I think it's an absolute mystery. I think maybe they want to trade him and they don't want to show how bad he is, kind of thing. You know,
Oh,
they,
interesting. Like
they
they're
don't have
hiding him?
enough. They don't have enough makeup. But did you see what the fans did to Jerry Jones today? I'll send you that clip. Like, I don't know why he ever goes to Philly, but the fans within earshot, they're like, "Keep doing what you're doing, Jerry. You're doing great. You're doing great
Oh,
for the organization." And he's
oh
like,
no.
"Yeah,
They're
man. Well,
like
I try."
sarcastic praising him?
Oh yeah, and I don't know if he gets it or not, but he's like, "Yeah, I try not to disappoint." And he's like, "Oh my God, just get
Oh
out. Why are you
no.
ever going there?"
These old owners. I mean, how old is Jerry? Like he's in his 80s now, right?
He's there, I think. Yep.
Like we have Bob Kraft who's 83. That's part of what like with the Pats, like I just feel like these guys are old. How many years left do they have? Like why do they want to mess around? Like we have the wrong coach and the wrong GM. Just like fix
Why
it.
do they want to
You're gonna be
leave their
84
house?
next year.
I know.
Other one for the 6 seed, Packers Bears. The Bears coming off, I think, probably the worst televised national TV game of the year, the Seahawks Bears game, just did a complete atrocity. Packers can lock down the 6 seed, and I'm going to say Packers by 11.5.
Yeah, you get it. I was way. See, this is one of the ones I was way off on. I said 7.5. It's 10.
Hmm.
But
What's
again,
this?
this is another one. Like Jordan Love can rest, or he could play this game and stay at the 6.
What's the score?
I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 6-4 me.
Oh, I might still get this.
I think you are gonna get it. Bunch of garbage
We
coming
only
up.
have 5 games left.
Yeah.
All right, so we tied one. Um, all right, next category is top 3 draft pick on the line. The Bills are at the Patriots. The Pats clinched the first pick with a loss. Buffalo has
Hmm.
clinched everything already. And yet, I think Buffalo is still going to be favored by 5.5, even with Mitch Trubisky.
I went higher than that. It's amazing that you're gonna win this and be off by so much. I went Bills by 6. It's Bills by 1.5.
Wow.
So you get it.
Mitch Trubisky,
This has
the
got to make you
man, the myth.
nervous. 1.5 in a game that you think for sure you're laying down in.
I don't know for sure. We don't have a smart franchise. I don't know what to expect.
But 1.5. Well, I mean, you and I thought 5 and 6.
We ran a play. I mean, the Chargers game was one of the lowest moments in recent Pats history and brought me
Yeah.
back to, the mid 70s when before things turned around, brought me back to like the late 80s. There was a play though. First of all, it looked like Drake May got concussed like 5 minutes
Yeah.
into the game and then he came back. Then Gonzalez got concussed. But there was a play when Drake May he turned and it was
Pitched
like
it. Yeah.
Douglas was coming around on a reverse, and it seemed like he was pitching to the running back, but he was
Yeah.
pitching it to the wide receiver instead, but the wide receiver wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
And the
Oh,
ball
you
just
think he
rolled back.
was? He was pitching? Because I was wondering for not like I'm not
I
being a
thought it
dick.
was a
Was he?
play to the wide receiver.
Interesting. All right. I feel like it was just like whoever's there. Just take
I
it.
think Douglas started going in motion too late, and it was supposed to be turned, flipped to the wide
Mm.
receiver, but he was 3 feet back, and
Yeah.
that was awful. I mean, it was an awful game. The crowd was booing. It was really depressing.
Yeah,
Eagles.
man. I mean, I don't know. You love. I mean, he has 3 wins. Like you could be excited about him, but he's been just bad enough that you're in the spot to get the number 1 pick. So
I
something's
love
got to
Drake,
give,
man.
right?
The only thing that makes me worried is when he starts doing things like tiptoeing down the sideline, spinning
That was
into
bad.
like a guy going 30 miles an hour. It's like, please don't get hit anymore, Drake May.
Mhm.
Eagles, Giants in Philly. Giants clinch a top 4 pick with a loss, maybe even a little bit better. Philly, nothing to play for. I'm going to say Eagles by 9.
Oh, all right. I get this. I said 5.5. It's 3.5.
Yeah. See, I'm always bad in week 18.
Look out for the Giants. 8 to
Wow. What a
5. And how many left? One,
3
two.
games left.
Okay, good. You got to sweep them. You could do this. You could pull it off.
Texans are at Tennessee. Tennessee clinches the second pick in the draft with a loss. I have
Did
the
they
Tex
not cover again? I honestly don't know. Did the Jaguars win that game?
They won by 7.
And they
Yeah.
covered? So they're like
Yeah.
2 and 14 now?
Yeah. 2 and 14 against the spread.
Beautiful. Great job.
I have Texans by 3.5 at Tennessee.
All right. I had Texans by 1.5. And it is, let me see, because these things change.
No, I love how you have to check because I'm gonna
I do
win.
have to check. All of these have changed. Tennessee by 4.5.
Tennessee by 4.5.
Tennessee by 4.5. So I get
Over Tennessee over Houston by 4.5.
Yeah. See, this is why this week shouldn't count. We are going to count it. Damn right, we're going to count it, but it shouldn't count.
What in the hell? Why would Tennessee want to win this game? Right.
I mean,
they don't have a quarterback. Their quarterbacks are Will Levis and Mason Rudolph. There's 2 quarterbacks in the draft. Why would they want to win the game?
but they're
and
not
move
going
back
to
into the
sit
draft?
everyone, right? The Texans are going to sit everyone. They're going to be calling guys off
Why
the
wouldn't
street.
the Titans
like
do that?
Houston barbecues and stuff. I don't know.
2 more games. These are in the category absolutely irrelevant. Colts home for the Jaguars. I did Colts minus 7.5.
You're going to get it. It's 5.5.
What did you guess?
I said 2. And this is what
And
it
then
means.
Cardinals at home for the 49ers. I need this one for my over-unders. I need Houston to win with their underdogs, and I need the
Yeah.
Cardinals to win, and I could go 27-5 with my NFL over-unders, which
pretty
would
good.
delight me to no end. Cardinals, I'm going to guess minus 3.5.
I said Cardinals by 2, and the Niners are favored by 1.5. So I get that.
What? Why
What a
would they
win
be
for me.
favored?
Wow. What a great week.
You win this every year. You win week 18.
It's
I
the
swear
only
you've
one I
won
win.
for like 11 straight years.
All right, so now going into the playoffs, it's 9.
I'm winning by
8 to
1?
Yeah, 9 to 8 to 1. One time.
Wow,
Yeah.
this is the closest you've been in a while.
Very exciting. Well, you know what I do in the playoffs? I just completely crap the bed.
So
here
who
we
do you
are.
have you thought about that Minnesota Detroit game yet?
Well, we have too much. We're too interested in actually trying to figure out who wins. We have to hedge. We have to hedge.
We have to hedge. We have
5 to
significant
1, and we may not have the better
on Detroit.
team. Yeah, and plus we have a little. I mean, Detroit can win by 2. You talked about all the games the Vikings were in that won by 2. We could take the points here. We should probably do it now.
I'm really proud of us.
I like it.
It's a great bet.
Yeah.
We did it. I did more when I was in Boston on FanDuel. Just making weird FanDuel bets. That was one of them. Had some
We were
losers,
smart,
though.
man.
On the old
We were
fan,
good.
I had some flyers on Houston to be the 1 seed. I had a Green Bay to be the 1 seed flyer. The teams, so the 5 over-unders I got wrong. The 2 that I got wrong, the worst, other than the Jets, was Minnesota was one of them. I had the
Yeah, I
under
had them too.
6.5 for them, and then we both had Jacksonville over. I think that was like what 7.5, 8, something
Yeah,
like
I thought
that.
they'd win the division.
And
Yeah.
they were awful.
Yep.
And the Jets, those were the 3 that I was the most off
Jets,
on. Tampa, I
what-
didn't hit.
Right. Yeah, you just feel like some of these teams are going to hit a wall. I'm stupid. I passed, like, I had the Browns over, and I had the Raiders over, all these dumbass teams that don't even try.
What did you think of this whole gauntlet we just went through with football? Because I actually got conditioned to it by today, just with all the games we had. 2 Wednesday, 1 Thursday, 3 Saturday,
Yeah.
and then a bunch today. And it was nice because there was only 2 late games today. I kind of liked it. I did a little power walk.
Really?
Had the game on my phone. I just had Brady and Burkhardt just walking around LA watching on my phone.
Well, you could do that with the 2 in the late afternoon.
Well, because I
But
didn't Miami, Cleveland. I was like, I don't care. I'm out.
Yeah, who cares? But we had 6 games before Sunday. I think it's a little too many. I don't think you need a Thursday night game if there are 2
Totally agree.
Christmas games on one, right?
Yeah.
And maybe you don't need 3 on Saturday because honestly, it ended up being okay. But we had Rattler O'Connell, Rudolph Mack, Rush Pickett, Flacco Lock. Those were 4 of the 6 games. Like Aaron Rodgers was going into the morning games, early afternoon. He was like the third best quarterback going into them. Right? Like it
Yeah.
was like Baker and obviously Josh Allen, and then like Aaron Rodgers was third. So I don't know.
Well, it led to a funny Ringer Sunday pregame show where the half the games are games nobody would have wanted to bet on in a
Yeah,
million years, and you just kind of had to come up with stuff. All
right.
right, you want to do parent corner?
Yeah, let's do it.
Go ahead.
How does this go again? We say terrible things about our kids.
Yeah.
Now, you know what? I'm gonna say a good thing. It's like the last one of the year, right? And we're usually trashing on them, but I'm proud of my kids for all different reasons. Everyone's home, right? You have Zoe's home from school, Archie's home from school. They each did something that made me proud this week. Archie, for instance, the oldest, uh, took his younger brothers out for a family portrait, and they all wore like ties and button-down shirts, and they went to Sears or wherever the hell you go now, and they paid for it, and he got like wallet sizes for his grandparents and all different options. It was
Of
like
the
a
three
real,
kids.
yeah, and they're like all different fun poses, like a real Brady Bunch moment. I mean, he made his mother cry, like, which is a big
Well,
plus,
I mean,
different from the way I make her cry.
that's
It's all different. Yeah,
making Melissa cry is not an achievement, but
that's true.
It's good that he made her cry happily.
Exactly. It's a different kind of tears. Middle guy, Jack, made an audio clip of our friend Brad screaming, and he plays it on a loop and has driven everyone nuts. So I'm proud of him for that. Like he replaced Mariah Carey's song on the Spotify top 100. So good job by you, Jack. And perhaps the winner,
Yeah.
my little one, Harrison. We went to Florida for a couple days. We had to visit Melissa's father. When you go through TSA, and the grown-ups have TSA check, and the grown-ups show their ID, and then the little guys,
Yeah,
what
you
they
get
do
to
is
sneak
in a
in.
very stern way, they ask, "What is your full name?" And you have to
Yeah.
say it. Like they'll point to the kid, and he's put on the spot.
Yeah.
And I swear, Harrison, without meeting a beat, missing a beat, how's it go? Without missing a beat, the guy says, "What is your full name?" And he says, in a very as deep a voice as an 11-year-old could do, he says, "Creed Humphrey, Alabama." And I was like, "You're my fucking guy. I love it. That's the best." Now it sidelined us for a couple minutes. Melissa was not happy at all, and the guy is not a football fan, as you can
Yeah.
imagine. He's like, "I need your real name right now." He's like, "It's Harrison. It's Harrison. It's Harrison Icano. That's my name." So we got through it, but I was like,
Creed
"That's
Humphrey. I wonder how I
that's
came up with Creed
spectacular."
Humphrey.
I don't know. It might be something he and his friends say because it's like the Monday Night Football thing. But good job by the three of them.
Wow. So how many times for tears from Melissa in 2024? Do we have a final count? Is it on wifereference.com?
A lot, man. It's the age. I don't know. You going through it too?
I, no, it's more tantrums.
Oh, tantrums. Oh, I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind a tantrum every now and then.
Well, it's the Zoe and my
Yeah,
wife
that's right.
just being in the same house. It's great.
Yeah, right. Wow.
It's yeah, it's like
I mean, there's a lot of
Pacquiao.
tears since this Brad recording has gone viral in the house, but other than that,
Can you put the Brad recording like on Instagram or something?
I think I will. I think I will. It's pretty good. It's gonna be a little out of context for people who don't know him, but it's good.
My parent corner. So I had Zoe on the last 40 minutes of my podcast on Thursday, and she did
Yeah.
her Teen Culture Awards for the last time because she turns 20. Both of our kids turn 20 next year, and they're not teenagers anymore. Have you really thought about that?
No, I haven't. Shit. Is that true? Come on. You're still a teen at 20, no?
No, you're 100% not a teen. I don't know what
20?
you are.
It's not 20? No.
20's that limbo year before you turn 21, where you're just kind of like,
Oh.
I'm not a teenager anymore, but I can't legally drink either. What am I?
Oh, man.
So anyway, we went to the Clipper game on Friday. We saw the Clippers against the Warriors.
Mhm.
She wanted to see Steph Curry. It was great. And then Friday morning, Steph Curry's not playing tonight. The NBA, it's like, I wonder what's wrong with the league. Well, it's because shit like this, because Steph Curry's in town and then he's not playing.
Right.
And, we don't need to litigate that for the 100th time. But it was just kind of funny. And it's funny with your kids to go through the stages of the stuff that we've all like kind of litigated as sports fans for years and years, where she's like, I don't understand. I thought we were seeing Steph Curry. Why isn't he playing? Like, how hurt is he? And it was like, well, they're playing Phoenix tomorrow night. They played on Christmas. Yeah, but still, I don't. But he should play.
I
All
love it.
these
You
people are
deserve this.
coming. All
You
these people are
deserve it.
coming to the arena to see Steph Curry, and he's not going to be there. What if he got it for a Christmas game? I'm like, yeah, this has been a conversation for 10 years. This is one of the many reasons why the schedule should be 60 games, so Steph Curry would actually play in all the arenas.
Right.
Anyway,
He wouldn't, but you're right. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
so I really love the Clippers arena. They did a great job.
Yeah.
And my daughter had a great time. And the places, they really did it. They figured out how to create this arena where they have good fans. It's loud. You feel like you're on top of the court. The fans feel like they're affecting the game. There's like
There's
real
games
energy
going
there.
on in between.
Yeah,
everything.
it's
fun.
just cool. And when you go to get like a drink or food or anything, there's no TVs anywhere.
Swipe it.
He
Yep.
wants people in the stadium.
Mhm.
So anyway, third quarter timeout, and Zoe runs off to get a candy, and the guy behind me taps my shoulder. He's like, "Hey, anyone ever tell you look like Bill Simmons?" And he starts laughing. It's like, "Hey, how are you?" He's like, "I'm a fan of the pod." It's like, I didn't
Was
want
it
to
Steph Curry?
No,
Oh.
it could have been.
Oh, that would have been exciting.
So he goes, "I didn't want to say anything until your wife went, but when your wife went to the bathroom," and I was like, "That's not my wife. That's my daughter. She's 19." And I was just completely through the rest of the game. First time somebody has thought my daughter was my wife, so I really wanted to kill myself.
That's all right. Let's think about this.
Yeah,
That's a huge compliment for you, right? I think.
there is no compliment to be taken
Oh,
from
okay.
any
All right,
aspect
all
of
right.
this. It was
All right.
it was a dark moment. And
Well,
I was
if he had
just
said
bummed out.
if he had said granddaughter, that would have sucked, right?
Granddaughter would have been tough.
Okay, so
Your granddaughter would have been really
wife is
hard.
not as bad. Not as bad. Wow.
Well, I was
Did you
trying to
tell
think
Zoe
like
this?
Of course. I was thinking girlfriend would have been even more logical. Wife is like, what is this? Like, she's like a child bride? Like when she
Right.
turned 18, her
You're not
family.
going to commit to this not soon to be not teen right now. Wow. Oh, that's good.
I could see Z looking like she's like 22, 23 to somebody, but not,
Yeah.
but just like, I'm old. I don't know. It threw me off.
But you're
Anyway.
in LA also. It's not
Well, that's the thing.
inconceivable, right?
It's an
If, like,
indictment of LA,
if
right?
If you had a Thunder game in Oklahoma City, like they would have gotten it right, I think, you know.
Yeah, you're probably right. Well, I
Good for
didn't
you.
like it.
Congratulations. Was she
Not good
did
for
she
me.
laugh? Did she laugh about it?
She was horrified. Just flat out horrified. Anyway, thanks to that guy.
What did he
That's it
say?
for-
Did he apologize or did he
No,
just
he's like,
blow it?
oh, my bad. He did one of those. Nice guy.
man.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for Parent Corner. What else do we have to hit? What do you want to plug?
What do we got? Against all odds, we'll be the fellas and I will be doing the college football picks Monday night for the Tuesday and Wednesday games. It's fun. 4 big playoff games and Ringer
What's your
pregame
favorite
show
playoff
on
game?
Sunday. You know what? I'm taking Boise to upset Penn State. I think that's it. I think that
You like the
I
running
think there's-
back.
I like Jonte. I think there's going to be a FU moment for the committee who has been told they've screwed this up. And God damn it, of course they have screwed it up. But I think they're going to be like, aha, told you this is going to be a good matchup. And so I'll at least take the points.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it'll be
Casual college football fan Bill likes the playoffs. I like that there's more teams, even though the first round of games sucked.
And Archie's going to the Rose Bowl because Oregon's playing Ohio State there. So it's nice and convenient.
So he's gone. Oh no,
He's
it's
gone.
Rose Bowl. It's here.
yeah, Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Couldn't have worked out better.
How long did he stay for the break?
He's here until the day after he leaves. The second. I don't know. When does your wife Zoe go back?
My wife Zoe is going to Miami to see the boyfriend
Oh yeah.
on the like 5th of January, 6th of January, somewhere in there. Because this is another thing. Her boyfriend's turning 21.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Just we're getting old, Sal. I don't know how to stop it.
I know.
Cerruti's one of the producers. Like he's got this tiny kid, her whole life in front of her. She's like
I
barely.
know.
And meanwhile, we went through all these stages, and
Oh, it
it's just
sucks.
sad how fast it goes.
I almost missed my flight. I had a sprint. I don't think I've ever run this fast. I made it one of those things where they're about to close the door. I had to sprint to the, and
Ooh,
I think I sprained like both my hamstrings. I just sat in my seat and cried for the 5 hour
he
flight from
blew out your
Florida.
Achilles
Yeah, I was like,
like
fuck,
the Vince
what
McMahon
is
thing.
this? How do you get this back? It's
So you
over.
didn't have any wrestling tournaments or anything over the break?
No, not yet. No, we're good. We're
Okay,
good till next week.
congrats. All right, that's it for the pod. Thanks to Cerruti and Kyle and Gahal. Cuz, good job by you.
Good job by you, buddy.
Thanks to everybody. We'll be back on Tuesday.